The judge was staring right at me when I slid the key across the table. My ex-wife froze. Her smile dropped. The courtroom went quiet. I said, "Check Unit 117. Everything she says she lost is in there." Her lawyer looked confused. She didn't. Her face turned red. She knew what I found. That was the moment she knew she was done lying. I kept my face calm, even though my heart was pounding. 2 years of being quiet, 2 years of letting her talk down to me, lie about me, twist everything. But not today. Today, I was ready. She had told the court I owed her $40,000. That I had hidden money from her. But what she didn't expect was that I'd found what she hid, behind a lock she thought I'd never touch again. And it all started with one moment. One small thing I overheard, back when I was still trying to fix our marriage. But before I go there, let me tell you who I am. Before we continue, I would like to know where you're watching from in the comment section. Also hit the subscribe button and share this video, as this will help this video to travel far so others can learn also. My name is Neil Harris, 39, dad of 2, and up until 2 years ago, I thought I was married to someone honest. I was wrong. This is how she tried to ruin me, and how I calmly beat her. It happened on a Thursday afternoon. I came home early from work. I had a headache and needed to grab some files. I wasn't trying to snoop, I wasn't even quiet. But when I stepped into the hallway, I heard my wife, Elena, whispering in the kitchen with her sister. I heard my name first. Then Elena said, "He'll never find the boxes. They're locked away. And if he asks, I'll just say they were stolen." Her sister laughed. "Just make sure he signs before he starts asking questions." I stood there, frozen. I wanted to walk in and ask what they were talking about, but I didn't. Something in her voice sounded planned. Like this wasn't just some secret Christmas gift. I waited until I heard them switch topics, then I made a little noise, acted like I just walked in. They both looked shocked, but Elena smiled too quickly. "Hey babe, you're home early." I smiled back. But inside, my mind was spinning. That night, I couldn't sleep. Boxes. Locked away. I didn't know what they were hiding, but something in my gut said this wasn't small. And if there's one thing I've learned since, it's this: when someone's hiding something from you, it's never just one thing. Back then, I still believed in fixing things. I thought maybe it was a misunderstanding. Maybe I was just being paranoid. But over the next few weeks, little things started to pile up. I noticed Elena was always on her phone, more than usual. She took calls outside. She'd close her laptop fast when I walked by. I'd ask questions, and she'd give short answers. One night, I brought up the conversation I overheard. She smiled. "You're being silly, Neil. You probably heard something from a TV show I was watching." I wanted to believe her. I did. We'd been married 11 years. We had 2 kids, a house, a whole life together. You don't want to think your own wife is plotting something behind your back. But then came the day I found the receipt. I was doing our taxes and saw a charge for a storage unit. Not under her name. Not mine either. It was rented under Mark Daniels, a cousin of hers I hadn't seen in years. I asked her about it. She didn't blink. "Oh, that's just some old stuff I gave him. It's not important." But if it wasn't important, why pay $175 every month? That was the first time I wrote down a question with a date. A habit I kept. By the time our marriage finally broke, we were barely talking. We still lived under the same roof, but it felt like living with a stranger. I was sleeping on the couch most nights. The kids noticed. They'd ask if we were okay. I'd lie. Then came the day Elena told me she wanted a divorce. No discussion. No counseling. Just, "I'm done." I said okay. I was tired of pretending. We agreed to try and split things fair. At first, I thought maybe we could be civil. But then the papers came. She wanted full custody. The house. Spousal support. And an extra $40,000 she claimed I owed her from a verbal agreement to pay back money from before we were married. I stared at the document for a long time. I knew it was a lie. But proving it, that would take time. I didn't scream. I didn't yell. I nodded. And that night, I started going back through every credit card, every receipt, every message. I pulled bank statements, called old friends, even found old photos from birthdays and holidays. Because if she was going to lie in court, I was going to tell the truth, with proof. The storage unit kept coming back to me. What was in it? Why hide it? And why lie? So I did something simple. I drove to the address on the receipt. It was a rundown place outside town. I walked in and asked if I could look at available units. While the manager was showing me the prices, I looked around and spotted a clipboard with names. I saw it. Unit number 117, Mark Daniels. It was still active. "Hey," I said, pointing. "Is that Mark? I know him." The manager shrugged. "He barely shows up. Last payment was online." I smiled, nodded. Then I left. 2 days later, I asked Elena casually if she still talked to Mark. She said, "He moved to Texas." That was a lie. I checked his Facebook the night before. He was at a barbecue in town 2 days ago. I didn't say anything, but I started planning. Because if that unit had what I thought it did, and if she really was dumb enough to lie under oath, then I needed to make sure I got inside that unit before the court date. And I had an idea exactly how to do it, legally. I found Mark's email on Facebook. I messaged him something simple. "Hey Mark, weird question. Do you still have that old storage unit? I think there's something of mine in there from way back." He replied the next morning. "Yeah man. I haven't touched it in over a year. You can go through it if you want. I'll text you the code." That was all I needed. I waited a few days, then drove out there on a Saturday. I had gloves on. Brought my phone, just in case. When I opened the unit, I felt my chest tighten. There were boxes, dozens of them. They were labeled with her handwriting. Some were clothes. Others were marked kitchen, office, and then I saw one that made me freeze, legal docs. I opened it. Inside were receipts, letters, even an old prenup she claimed she'd lost. I took photos of everything. No touching. Just proof. I even filmed myself saying the date and what I saw. Then I locked it back up, walked away, and didn't say a word to anyone. That night, I made 2 copies of the photos. One for my lawyer. One for the judge. I didn't rush to tell Elena. That's what she expected. She wanted a reaction. She wanted a fight. I gave her nothing. She sent me texts about the kids, but nothing more. I stayed calm, polite. I even dropped off the kids early a few times, just to keep things looking normal. But I was watching. Her lawyer filed more papers. She doubled down on the $40,000. Claimed I had stolen it, spent it, hidden it. It made me sick. But I stayed focused. My lawyer, Diane, was a shark. When I showed her the pictures, her eyes lit up. She said those were destroyed in the house flood. This proves she committed perjury. I nodded. We wait until court. She agreed. We filed a quiet motion to request a review of new evidence, without tipping off Elena. The date was set. Every night, I replayed it in my head. Her words. Her lies. The way she smiled like she was the victim. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I stayed the same guy she thought would roll over. Let her think she was winning. Let her build her lie tall. Because the taller the lie, the harder the fall. I didn't want revenge for the money. It wasn't about the $40,000. It was about the lies she told our kids. The way she painted me like a deadbeat dad. I overheard my son one night whispering to his sister, "Mom said Dad's going to jail." She was poisoning them. That's when I decided I wasn't just going to defend myself. I was going to show everyone exactly who she really was. I started gathering more. Old texts where she admitted I paid for her school. Emails where she thanked me for covering bills. Bank statements showing transfers she denied ever happened. It was all there. One night, while packing up the garage, I found something else, an old laptop she used to use. I plugged it in. To my surprise, it still worked. And inside were old emails, messages, even drafts of what looked like legal plans. One folder was labeled, Plan A, custody strategy. She'd been planning this years ago. I sat there for hours, reading. And when I was done, I knew I couldn't unsee it. She was never trying to co-parent. She was trying to erase me. The court date came faster than I thought. We sat across from each other in silence before the session. Elena wore a gray blazer. Looked calm. Confident. Like she was sure this was going to go her way. I wore a cheap suit and stayed quiet. Her lawyer did most of the talking. Told the judge I'd withheld money. That I was aggressive. That Elena feared for her safety. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But I let them talk. The judge turned to me. Asked if I had anything to say. That's when I reached into my folder. I slid the key to unit number 117 across the table. I looked right at Elena. Then I said, "Your Honor, my ex-wife testified that she lost key legal and financial documents in a flood. I respectfully request the court review what I found inside this unit, registered under her cousin's name. You'll find receipts, the missing prenup, and documents proving every dollar was accounted for." Elena went pale. Her lawyer looked lost. The judge raised an eyebrow. "Is this true, Mrs. Harris?" She didn't answer. But she didn't need to. Her silence said everything. And I knew, this was just the beginning. The judge asked for a short recess. I walked out of the courtroom, my legs shaking. Not from fear, but relief. Outside, my lawyer grinned. "You hit her where it hurts. She's rattled. Watch her start backpedaling." And she did. In the next session, her tone changed. She tried to say she forgot about the unit. That she misunderstood what was inside. But the judge wasn't buying it. He ordered an immediate review. Officers were sent to open the unit, with my video as reference. 3 days later, the report came in. The prenup was real. The receipts proved I had paid off her debt. And best of all, there was a notebook. Handwritten. A list of things she planned to lie about. It included, "Tell the court the laptop was destroyed. Say Neil never gave money for school. Pretend the prenup is fake." Everything matched her statements in court. And just like that, her story began to collapse. But I wasn't finished. Because while she was busy lying in court, she forgot the one thing that mattered most. Our kids. And the fact that they were watching all of this unfold. My daughter, Ellie, came to me the next weekend. She was 9, sweet, and way too smart. She asked, "Daddy, why does Mom say you don't love us?" My heart broke. I sat down with her and my son, Noah, and told them something simple. Sometimes, grown-ups make bad choices. But I love you both more than anything in the world. No matter what happens. I didn't badmouth their mom. I didn't say she lied. But I could see they were confused. Torn. So I started writing letters. One for Ellie. One for Noah. In each, I wrote the truth. How I never wanted this fight. How I always put them first. How I kept every school paper, every drawing, every moment. I locked the letters in a fireproof box. They'd read them when they were older. Because I knew Elena would try to twist everything. But I also knew time tells the truth. And by now, it was starting to show. The court wasn't just looking at money anymore. They were reviewing full custody. And suddenly, Elena wasn't so confident anymore. Elena's lawyer asked for a settlement. "We'd like to resolve this quietly," he said. "Split custody, waive the spousal support, both walk away clean." I looked at my lawyer. Then I said, "No." Because I wasn't after money. I wasn't trying to hurt her. But I was going to protect my kids from someone who used lies like weapons. A week later, we had a custody hearing. Elena tried her old tricks. Cried on cue. Said I emotionally neglected her. But the judge had already seen the storage report. Seen the lies. When it was my turn, I kept it simple. I handed over a binder. Inside were school letters, medical records, everything I had ever paid for, proof of involvement. Then I said, "I'm not perfect. But I've shown up every day. Even when it hurt. Even when I was lied about. I didn't cry. I didn't raise my voice. I just told the truth. And for the first time in 2 years, It was finally enough. The judge ruled in my favor. Joint custody. No spousal support. And the $40,000? Dismissed. Elena stormed out of the courtroom. I didn't follow her. I walked to my car, sat inside, and finally exhaled. I should have been happy. And I was, kind of. But mostly, I felt tired. Not just from the fight, but from what I learned. I used to think people lie out of fear. But sometimes, they lie because they think they're smarter than you. Because they believe they'll never get caught. Elena didn't just try to win. She tried to erase who I was. And she would have succeeded if I hadn't stayed quiet, paid attention, and gathered every piece. The next week, I changed the locks on my new place. Moved the kids' beds in. Bought Ellie her favorite purple lamp. Let Noah pick a poster for his wall. They settled in like it was always home. And one night, after dinner, Ellie hugged me and said, "You didn't go to jail, Daddy." I knew you wouldn't. That night, I sat on the couch, stared at the ceiling, and cried for the first time since the divorce started. Not because I lost, but because, finally, it was over. Almost. I thought that was the end of it. But 2 weeks later, I got a letter. From the IRS. Elena had reported me for tax fraud. I almost laughed. I sent it straight to Diane. She called the next day. "She's trying to punish you. This is retaliation." Luckily, I had everything on file. Years of receipts. Clean records. All because I started keeping track the moment things felt wrong. We responded with full transparency. The IRS cleared me in 5 days. But it showed me something else. She couldn't stop. Even after losing in court. Even after the truth came out. She couldn't let go. That's when I remembered something she once said during an argument, back before the divorce started. "If you leave me, I'll make sure no one ever sees you the same again." At the time, I thought it was just anger. Now, I knew it was a promise. And I made one too. I'd keep everything from now on. Emails. Calls. Letters. Because people like her don't stop. But neither do people like me. By summer, things were finally settling. The kids had adjusted to the schedule. I made their lunches, helped with homework, picked them up from school. Simple stuff. But it felt like peace. Elena still tried to get under my skin. She'd forget pickup times. Blame me for lost backpacks. Tell the kids I didn't care. But they stopped believing it. Because I was there. Every day. And nothing beats presents. One night, Noah asked, "Why does Mom get so mad when we have fun here?" I didn't know what to say. So I said, "Sometimes when people feel like they're losing, they get angry. It's not about you, buddy. It's about her." He nodded like he understood. Then he hugged me. And in that moment, I realized something. This wasn't just a legal win. This was breaking a cycle. Showing my kids that love isn't control. That truth doesn't need to scream. And that calm is sometimes the loudest strength. Fall came. A full year since court. I hadn't seen Elena outside of exchanges. Things were quiet. Then, one evening, I got a call from her sister, Vanessa. We hadn't spoken in 2 years. She said, "Hey, just wanted you to know. Elena's trying to take out a second mortgage on the house. She's saying you're backing her." I almost dropped the phone. "What?" "Yeah. She told the bank you'd co-sign." I laughed. "No. Absolutely not." Vanessa sighed. "I'm sorry, Neil. I should have warned you earlier." That night, I pulled my credit report. Sure enough, there was an inquiry from the bank. She was still trying to use my name. I reported it. Blocked her attempt. Sent a formal notice through my lawyer. But this wasn't about money anymore. This was about control. And I decided then, no more reaction. No more surprises. If she was going to drag me through the fire again, I'd be ready. This time, I'd build a firewall so strong, she'd never touch my peace again. I started therapy. Not because I was broken, but because I didn't want to carry her anymore. The lies. The blame. The weight. My therapist asked me, "Do you think you've forgiven her?" I said, "No. But I'm learning to stop needing her to be sorry." And that's what it was. She'd never apologize. Never admit the damage she caused. But I didn't need that anymore. I didn't want revenge. I wanted peace. So I built new habits. I journaled. I worked out. I took my kids on weekend hikes. I stopped replaying old arguments in my head. Elena kept trying. Little jabs. Snide comments during pickups. Emails with guilt trips. But every time, I responded the same. Please direct all future communication through legal channels. No emotion. No reply. Just silence. And you know what? Silence is louder than screaming. I thought it was finally done. Until Elena made one last move. She filed for full custody again, claiming the kids told her I was neglecting them. It was a bold, arrogant play. But this time, I wasn't even scared. Because I had something better than lawyers. I had the truth. Photos. School reports. Letters from teachers. Even drawings the kids made saying, "I love Dad's house." I didn't flinch. Neither did the judge. He dismissed her claim in 10 minutes. And then, he warned her. Further false filings will be considered harassment. That was the moment she realized she'd lost more than custody. She'd lost credibility. With the court. With her kids. With everyone. And me. I didn't cheer. I didn't smile. I just walked out, head high, shoulders light. Because she tried to bury me. And I built a life on top of it. I ran into Mark Daniels a few weeks later. The cousin with the storage unit. He apologized. Said he didn't know she was using his name. I believed him. He seemed embarrassed. She told me it was just old clothes, he said. I shrugged. It's in the past. Then he paused. You know, there was a second unit. She paid cash for it under a fake name. I don't think she knows the facility took photos. My stomach turned. He texted me the name. I passed it to Diane. 2 weeks later, we had documents showing a second hidden storage unit full of valuables she claimed were stolen in our insurance claim years ago. Jewelry. Art. Electronics. That's called fraud. We sent it to the insurance company. They opened a case. And suddenly, Elena wasn't just facing embarrassment. She was facing charges. I didn't want to see her go to jail. But when the insurance company pressed charges, I didn't stop them. I stayed out of it. I gave my statement and let them handle it. Elena tried to reach out. Texted me from a new number. Please, we need to talk. I'm scared. I didn't respond. This wasn't my fight anymore. I'd played fair. She didn't. And now, the lies were eating her from the inside out. Her lawyer quit. She had to hire someone new. And I heard, from Vanessa, that Elena started selling off furniture. Trying to cover fees. The house. Listed. The car. Repossessed. And my kids. They saw it all. Not because I told them. But because the truth doesn't need a spotlight. It shows itself, eventually. The day Elena got sentenced, I didn't go to court. It wasn't my moment. But I did get a message from Diane. She got 2 years probation. Fined. Community service. No jail. I nodded. That was enough. The kids were quiet that weekend. Noah asked, "Is Mom a bad person?" I said, "She's a person who made bad choices." Ellie asked, "Do we have to stop loving her?" I shook my head. No. But you don't have to believe everything she says. You're allowed to protect your heart. They both hugged me. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Not because I won in court, but because I didn't lose myself in the battle. I started dating again. Nothing serious. Just coffee, walks, conversation. It felt strange at first, like learning to breathe again. But I wasn't rushing. I didn't need to fill a hole. I was whole already. Elena texted again, this time, begging. I messed up. Please help. I don't want to lose everything. I didn't answer. She already had. She lost everything because of herself. Not me. I didn't ruin her life. She did. And the worst part? She could have had peace. If she'd just been honest. But when someone builds a castle out of lies, they shouldn't be surprised when it collapses on them. I watched my kids laugh one night, playing board games in the living room. Ellie was winning, of course. Noah accused her of cheating, and they both burst into giggles. That's when it hit me. We were okay. We were more than okay. We were safe. Healing. Happy. The storm had passed. And I didn't need Elena to say sorry. I didn't need a perfect ending. Because I had something better. A beginning. Built on truth. Elena eventually moved out of state. Tried to start over. She asked for more time with the kids. The court allowed a small increase, under supervision. I didn't fight it. Because now, I wasn't afraid. I had nothing to hide. No lies to cover. My life was mine again. And she? She was a shadow in the rear view. Still trying to control a story that no longer belonged to her. Because the truth, it never needed defending. It just needed time. So here I am. 2 years later. No debt. No court dates. Just peace. The key to Unit 117 sits in my desk drawer. Not because I need it. But as a reminder. That staying calm isn't weakness. That silence can be power. That justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. I didn't destroy my ex-wife. She did that all on her own. I just showed the judge what was already there. And in the end, that was enough.